I'm Tom from Do-It-Yourself Home Automation, and this is a look at pruning your Aerogarden tomatoes. So I have my tomato plants growing here in my Aerogarden, and you can see they're starting to get a lot of fruit on there. But you can also see they're kind of getting crazy. It's taking over. We've got some coming up and hitting the lights. And this shows why you really have to prune back your tomatoes to keep them under control, and also it's important for keeping them producing the fruit. Otherwise, you're just growing a ton of leaves, and the plant is putting its resources into that instead of growing fruit. So you want to prune pretty frequently, and you just want to keep the shape so that everything is contained in there. And you also want to make sure that the fruit itself is not being shaded so that it can continue to grow. So some people are a little bit squeamish about pruning. They think they're hurting their plant. If that applies to you, think of it more as a haircut. It's something that just keeps this actually healthy and growing well. So you want to prune with shears. I just have normal kitchen shears here, but you can also get a separate set of pruning shears. And you just want to choose leaves that are kind of coming out of the general area where you want your plant to be. So the first thing is to look at ones that are actually hitting the top. So I'm going to take this branch here. I'm just going to prune these back so that they're not hitting the light. And this is at its maximum setting. So I'm going to come up here, I'm just going to prune these all back. Now one thing that's important is you see some of these branches, like this one here at the tip of my scissors, actually has flowers developing. So you don't want to prune those because that's where your fruit is going to come from. So don't prune these ones that have flowers, even though they're coming up and hitting the top. I'm going to leave those be. But this branch down here, I'm going to prune off. Pruning to the sides too, so that these don't invade the rest of my space. Also really helpful. So I'm going to get those off of the side, get some of these off of here. And when you are pruning, Aerogarden recommends going to the base of the nearest shoot. So don't just sort of cut randomly here where you're going to end up with extra shoot sticking up here. This is going to bleed water and hurt the plant. So you want to go as close to the stem as possible when you do prune. And on this one, it looks like I might get some flowers here, so I'm going to leave that be. But basically, you're just shaping the plant. You're getting rid of branches that are kind of coming out of the plane of where you want it to be. And you're just, in general, pruning back quite a lot of the growth so that the plant can put its resources, again, towards making that fruit and not towards pointless leaf growth. We've got this little guy escaping back here. The other thing you want to look at is, can you prune back leaves that are preventing your tomatoes from getting enough of the light, and they won't actually mature and turn red and be ready unless they are getting some amount of light. So like this branch here, I can see is shading these tomatoes. So I'm going to clip that off, move it out of the way. I'm going to prune back this guy while I'm at it from my other Aerogarden, and that way those tomatoes are nice and exposed to the grow light. So you just want to do that whenever your plant needs it. Start around, I think around 2 to 3 weeks after the plants start to grow, and just keep everything contained there, and you'll get a lot of great fruit and not too many of these pointless extra leaves. If you found that helpful in any way, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps.